SFF Book Racks, re-speaking. How may I help you? Ah, you want some urban fantasy recommendations? And you've never read the genre before? Okay, I got Rex for you. So what is urban fantasy genre? It's fantasy set to our modern day world. So it's set to one of the big cities, usually in America or Britain. And it's our own regular world, except there's magic and some kind of supernatural creatures like vampires, werewolves, or faeries, or really anything you can imagine, but those are some of the most common ones. And some common tropes in urban fantasy books are that the main characters are often PIs, so detectives, private detectives, or cops, or monster hunters of some kind. But there are also some urban fantasy books where the main character is like your everyday person who just stumbles upon the supernatural world. And also, like I said, some of the most common supernatural creatures are vampires, werewolves, fairies, or some kind of magic users like witches, wizards. One way to like type different kind of urban fantasy is whether the magic and supernatural elements are hidden or known by regular people. If it's hidden somehow, there might be some kind of magical reason, like there's some kind of magical effect that just keeps people from noticing it, or people just don't want to believe that such things could be true, or there can be some kind of specific force or entity enforcing this secrecy. So for example, there can be internal police that keeps the supernatural creatures in control, so they won't cause incidents that would cause people to find out about the supernatural. Or supernatural can be out in the open. I will be mentioning some series where this is the situation. Okay, but one way to get started is to decide what kind of creatures you want to read about, or if you want to read about magic users like wizards or witches. But let's start with vampires. Many urban fantasy series, they have more than one different kind of creatures. So even if they focus, like the main characters are werewolves, or the stories focus on them, the vampires might still play a big role. But in these two recommendations, the main characters are either vampires or vampire hunters. And the first recommendation is Jane Yellowrock series by Faith Hunter. Jane is a vampire hunter. She's also a Cherokee skinwalker, so she can turn into a cougar. And she's actually, how she does this is that she has absorbed the spirit of a specific cougar, and basically sometimes this other spirit residing inside her takes control, and then she turns into a big cat. And she often doesn't remember what happened while she was in cat form, because it's like an entire different personality who has taken over her body. But yeah, that was Faith Hunter's Jane Yellowrock series. Then another series, which also has vampire hunters, is the Night Huntress series by Jeaniene Frost. And in this series, the main character is Kat, and she is herself half vampire, and well, a vampire raped her mother, and she's very religious and bitter toward vampires. So basically, Kat, because of that, Kat started hunting them, and she comes across the male lead, a British snarky vampire called. The male lead is a British vampire, kind of reminiscent a bit of Spike, like, but not an evil Spike, just Spike reformed, and basically Kat tries to kill Bones at first, but then they team up and start working together to kill vampires, because Bones also doesn't like evil bloodsuckers who drain people for no reason. But yeah, those were two vampire series recommendations. Then let's move on to a series with werewolves or shapeshifters. My first recommendation for that is Mercy Thomson series by Patricia Briggs. There's also another spin-off series in the same world called Alpha and Omega. And there are over 10 books in the Mercy series, I think 12 maybe. And Mercy herself is not a werewolf. She's a coyote shifter, but she grew up in a werewolf pack and is living in the as a neighbor to one, and they're her friends, and she's involved a lot in their life, and gets even more involved because she's developing a romance with the Alpha. Pretty much every story has mystery, some kind of mystery plot, and action, and romance is just like it's a side plot. This is not paranormal romance. It's just urban fantasy with a romance side plot. Then my second series recommendation is Kitty Norville series by Carrie Vaughn, and well, a lot of people make jokes about Kitty being a werewolf called Kitty. She's a radio host who's running this kind of program where she gives relationship advice to supernatural creatures. So I guess it's kind of out in the open that there might be these kind of creatures, but during the course of the series, werewolves are coming out, and in the second book, it's called Kitty Goes to Washington, where she literally goes to Washington DC to deal with the situation of werewolves coming out. And in Patricia Briggs's Mercy Thomson series, faeries have already come out, I think maybe like 20 years ago, and they have been, most of them have been sent to live in reserve. The third recommendation is Kate Daniel's series by Ilona Andrews. This is a completed series of 10 books, and this is one of my all-time favorite series of urban fantasy. And Kate Daniels herself isn't a werewolf or a shapeshifter, but she has a lot of friends who are, and the love interest of the series, the romance, which is a slow burn and happens gradually over many books. The love interest is Lion Shifter, and he's the Beast Master, the Beast Lord. So he's the ruler of the shapeshifters in Atlanta area. And there are many different kind of shapeshifters in this world. There are werewolves, rats, hyenas. There's also Clan Heavy, which has mostly werebears, but also has some werebuffaloes and other animal species. Then there is Clan Nimble, which has like quick kind of creatures like weremongooses and jackals, all kind of quick creatures. There are also in this world, and there are vampires, but they are monsters. They are not your sexy bloodsuckers. They're like not thinking creatures. They are driven by necromancers called the People. They're piloting the vampires like you would a remote drone or like a car. And then there are also all kind of magic users like mages, witches, priests of various religions who have gained now powers when magic has returned to the world. And yeah, and all kind of various monsters from different mythologies. So Kate Daniels is really fun series. It's very action-packed. There's always a mystery plot, and like I said, slow burn romance that's not taking over the series. It's still mostly action and solving a mystery. Highly recommended. Okay, so those were the 3 werewolf or shapeshifter recommendations. Then let's move on to faeries. Faeries, my recommendations are October Daye series by Seanan McGuire. October Daye is a PI. She's a half fairy, half human, and fairies in this world, they are not allowed to tell regular people that fairies exist. So October, she was married and had a daughter, but she wasn't allowed to tell her husband and child that she was part fairy. And something awful happened 14 years ago, and another evil fairy cursed her and turned her into a fish. So for the past 14 years, she was a fish, and her family thought that she was dead and moved on in their lives. So when she returns to human form, she's basically lost everything, and it has taken a toll on her mental health. And but she is also solving different kind of mysteries and working with the fairy world, which can be harsh for half fae like herself and others. Very good series too. It's a long-running series. There are 15 books out, and it is ongoing still. And then my second fairy recommendation is Fever by Karen Mary Moning. In this series, the main character is, in the beginning, very much like a every woman heroine. She has no magical powers. She doesn't know supernatural exists. She is going to Dublin, where her older sister was studying and was murdered. So and the murder was never solved, so she wants to find out what happened to her sister. And she realizes that she can see fairies, and fairies are not nice creatures in this world. They're more like, or there are unseelie and seelie courts, and they're both kind of a bad thing, but unseelie even more so. And there's also a romance plot in this series. It's slow burn, but as the series progresses, there are some steamier scenes, but mostly it is action-packed and focused on, at first, solving her sister's murder, and then later on there are other kind of quests to solve. So those were the fairy recommendations, and then we move on to the last category in this video, which are mages, like wizards, witches, all kind of different magic users. And the first recommendation is Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. And this series is also a long-running series. There are 16th and 17th books came out last year, and the series is continuing. I think it's planned to be maybe something like 25 books long, so very, very epic story arc. The main character is a PI wizard in Chicago, and yeah, he's advertising on Yellow Pages, and no one really believes that he's a wizard. And how magic has stayed secret has there are enforcers, but there are several occasions where people actually see magic being worked and they just forget it. So it's a bit hand-waved, but the magic system is like really, really varied. There are kind of rituals, different kind of magics. There are items that can help you channel the magic, and Harry has this kind of funny talking skull with a spirit inside that advises him, and is a nice sidekick. But yeah, it's a good series, and like I said, there are many books out so far, and the going has gone really epic. So I recommend trying it and seeing if it's for you. Then we have a bit similar series called Rivers of London by Ben Aaronovich, and in this series the main character, he's a police officer, and he sees something during a case that he realizes that it is supernatural things exist which he isn't supposed to see, so he's recruited into the supernatural branch, the secret branch in the police, and he starts learning magic himself. So yeah, this is like, if you've already, like, if you want something, another series like Dresden Files, but prefer London setting, or something a little different, then this is a good option for that. Then we have the Hollow series by Kim Harrison. This is another long-running series. 16th book is coming out this summer, and this world has witches, vampires, werewolves, faeries, or well, elves. They're called elves. There are also demons and pixies. So like yee-hi, little spirited creatures, kind of like Tinkerbells. Rachel's partners in her PI office, or PI detective agency, are Ivy, a vampire, and Jenks, a pixie who has a potty mouth and who's a really funny side character. So an excellent series, highly recommend. And then the last mage recommendation, or magic user recommendation, is Alex Verus series by Benedict Jacka. This is also a longer series, and it's still ongoing. and the main character has some kind of a divination or premonition magic. So that's a bit different variant on a different kind of a magic user. But yeah, those were the 4 recommendations for magic, and I hope you found a series that you want to try. Urban fantasy is a really fun genre because, well, you're already familiar with the world. There are just supernatural elements to it, and these books also tend to be a little shorter than your average epic fantasy books. They're about 90,000 words or 100,000 words, so about 300 pages, whereas like the longest epic fantasy books start from 400, 500 pages and can be even 1,000 pages long. So these can be maybe nice palate cleansers between the longer reads, or just a fun thing to read on its own. But there, I hope you got some nice recommendations that you're thrilled to try, and thanks for watching. Have a great day, and please like and subscribe if you're so inclined, and see you on my next video. Bye.